Good morning. It's the Money and More Show. This is the Small Business Insights edition. I'm Don Emmett, the Managing Director of Entrust Associates, and I'm here in the studio at WCOM LP, Chapel Hill and Carborough, with noted business consultant, business coach, and entrepreneur, Mr. Earl Haddon.
Good morning, Don.
Welcome, Earl.
Yeah, so it's great to be on WCOM. As you know, I just joined the team as well, so I'm excited about being here.
That's terrific, yeah, Earl. So Money and More is production here at WCOM every Thursday at 9 a.m. And we have 4 local business people taking turns hosting the show. I'm Don Emmett. I'm a managing director, as you said, of Entrust Associates. We're a business brokerage firm. And I generally host the second Thursday of the month. Earl's going to be doing the third Thursday. He kicked off his first show
Last week?
last week.
Yes, last week. It was great fun.
Good deal, good deal. So Earl is, just to give us a little background, Earl, about yourself and your career and how you got to, I guess we're going to talk about the Small Business Success Project.
Oh, I think there's a song about it being a long and winding road.
Okay.
I grew up in Charlotte and went to Carolina. Had a wonderful time at Carolina. Managed to graduate as well.
Okay.
Which in those days was a challenge. And went to work for IBM. Went to work for IBM in New York City, working in one of the marketing units, and got recruited by a software company. They moved me to California, which is a very nice place to live when you're young and single.
Okay.
Worked for the software company for about 10 years, and then went out on my own, started a consulting business, and ended up working with about half of the Fortune 100 companies, working on initially large systems, large database, but then we ended up migrating to business improvement. There was a great book called Good to Great, and it really influenced me. And one of the things that I learned was that you don't want to automate anything or systematize anything that you haven't improved as a business before you started working on it. So that's how I ended up in the consulting and coaching business, was helping people improve and achieve their goals.
Okay. All right. And so you practiced that in California for the better part of, I guess, the 80s, 90s, aughts. What brought you back to
well, yeah,
the Piedmont?
I worked there for about 30 years. Met my wife, had kids. Put down the roots. The kids moved out. We became empty nesters. And one day I was sitting in the kitchen with my wife saying, if we didn't live in Manhattan Beach, where would we live? And she said, well, North Carolina, of course. And I thought, that's kind of strange because my wife is not from North Carolina, but most of my family is. And so we decided to sell the business that we were running and move back to North Carolina and retire. And I found 2 things about being retired.
Quote unquote?
Quote unquote.
Retire?
Yeah, I thought that we'd spend a lot of time at the beach and a lot of time playing golf, and I discovered that I got bored really easily.
Mm-hmm.
And while I still enjoy going to the beach and I still try to play golf once a week, I really do get a lot of pleasure out of helping people achieve what I call, and what Jim Collins in his book Good to Great calls, big, hairy, audacious goals. And it's amazing what people can do once they start to work on processes and systems that are going to lead them towards something that they probably didn't even think that they could accomplish before we started talking.
Okay. And we're going to get more into the big, hairy, audacious goals in a little bit, which, so I'm guessing that that kind of led you, fair to say, into the Small Business Success Project.
Exactly. I was meeting with some small business owners on a weekly basis just to kind of stay active in the local community. And one of them had asked me to be on his company's advisory board. And I noticed from a number of companies and individuals in the Chapel Hill Leads group, which was the first networking group in this area. It's about 20 years old. That they were struggling, and I happened to have ankle surgery, which laid me up for 3 months. And during that 3 months, I started writing out what are the things that they need to do to be more successful. And I started talking to some people about that, and it was kind of like the Pied Piper. There were so many people that kept hearing about the some of the buzzwords like IPAs and some of the big, hairy, audacious goals that they sought me out. And over a couple of years,
BHAGs, as Jim Collins refers to them as.
Exactly. So they were seeking me out, and I ended up working with at one point about 15 people at the same time, and it started looking like a full-time job.
And broadcasting from Carborough and Chapel Hill, home of many craft beers. When you say IPAs, you're not necessarily talking a refreshing beverage at the end of the day. You're more talking about income-producing activity.
Exactly. Well, I use IPAs because it's an abbreviation that I can remember and identify with, being a large fan of IPAs. But it is most people. One of the kind of founding principles of Small Business Success Project is research was done a while back that showed that 80% of the time business owners are working on the wrong things. And it's kind of like we only use 10% of our brain,
right?
And if we could get it up to 12% of our brain, would be really
20% improvement.
Well, yeah, except would be a lot smarter than the average bear, so to speak. And the same thing with IPAs. If we can identify the 4 or 5 things that really contribute to our success, we can double our success rate without working a whole lot harder. In fact, I see a lot of people who work really, really hard doing the wrong things. And if they just worked less hard and maybe thought about it a little bit more and worked on the right things, they'd be more successful.
So Earl, is it fair to say that your endeavor is kind of to take some of the tools and processes and procedures that you were using at the Fortune 100, 500 companies,
right,
and look to kind of tweak them or bring them down for the small business, even micro business entrepreneur to allow them to utilize those?
Yeah, it's important to take the concepts, but you have to realize one thing, and a lot of people don't get this, but a small business is not a small version of a big business. A small business is a different kind of animal.
Okay.
I went to see a well-known author not too long ago, and his assumption was that if you opened a small business, you wanted to be a big business.
Okay.
And a lot of the people that I know that have small businesses and run small businesses have no desire to turn into another GE or
I'm
IBM.
very happy having us being a small business.
And so you have to take some of the concepts and distill them. For example, planning. When I worked in corporate, we put together a planning team of 5 to 10 people. We'd work for 3 months putting the plan together. We'd publish it. We'd send it out to reviewers. Maybe 25 or 50 people review it. A small business probably has somewhere between 4 and 8 hours to get their plan put together because they've got to spend the rest of their time executing. And so you can't do all of the exotic things that the big companies do about planning. You have to focus on a couple of things. And for example, my business plan model is 3 pages plus a spreadsheet. And if you look at a corporate plan, most of them are big enough to be leather bound.
Right. So why don't you tell us what's your big, hairy, audacious goal for the small business project?
Well, the thing about being big is that Jim Collins found that the companies that consistently beat the competition in terms of achieving their goals was they had something that was so big that you'd be embarrassed to tell your mother about it. And so rather than help a few small business people, I set a goal of helping 10,000 business people. And one of the other things about BHAGs is you don't know how you're going to get there. So you set this goal, and the goal pulls you to where you want to be in terms of success.
Okay.
One of our local business coaches, a real expert, Leslie Flowers, says if you knew the steps that would take you to your goal, you'd already be doing them, or it's not a very good goal.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you set a big, hairy, audacious goal like ours to help 10,000 business people, don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to start doing something, and over time I'm going to get better and better, and yeah, there may be some course corrections along the way, but that's okay, because at least you're moving. And a lot of small business people, and there's a term that I use that's kind of a business consulting term. It's called stuck.
Okay.
And a lot of people are just stuck. And in fact, I went through that a couple of months ago. I had 4 or 5 things I was working on, and I just kind of felt stuck. And I went out to one of the business coaches, advisors that I respect, and sat down and had lunch and said, okay, yeah, I need help getting unstuck. And we talked for about an hour and a half, and came away with 2 or 3 ideas. And yeah, next day went back, got plugging away, got unstuck, and I'm back back on course to where I wanted to go. But it's easy once you get stuck. You start kind of wallowing in your own self-pity, and you've got to break out of that, because it's real easy to kind of get dragged backwards, and that's where I see a lot of people that well, this is where I am, and I can't get out of it, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and it's sad. It's one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing, is to help people be successful as they define it.
Can you give us an example of a client, without naming any names, of course, that was stuck, and how you helped them get unstuck and I guess back on their path or their journey toward a BHAG?
Yeah, and one of them, had a business that had a lot of competition, and his attitude was, well, we got a lot of competition, it's a tough business, and was price sensitive, so he had cut his prices, was taking a lot of low-end jobs, which most low-end jobs are not very profitable, because you end up spending as much time doing a low-end job as you do a high-value job. And as we worked our way through it, we looked at pricing, and we looked at most people look at pricing as being cost-based, but it's not. It's value-based.
Okay.
And so we had to identify the value, and all of his communication going out to his customers and prospects had to be about value. And when we looked at the size of jobs, we added a premium to the low-end jobs, so to cover the added cost of doing low-end work. And he ended up losing some of the low-end clients, and his profits increased dramatically because he had more time to work on the high-end clients. And he found that he had been spending over 80% of his time working on the low-end clients, the C clients, and only 5% of his time working on the high-end clients, the A clients. So, once we worked through that, and he came to the realization that he needed to spend more time with his A clients, his business started to take off. He did realize, and there was some initial frustration, he realized he didn't have enough A clients, and he had to go out and get some more. because the C clients will take up all of your time. And you know, if you have somebody that calls you every day but doesn't give you an order, they're probably a C client.
And I think a lot of people fall into the trap of, you know, being busy. And, you know, the C client, you know, keeps you think you're doing, you know,
Yeah.
you're on the treadmill, you're on the hamster wheel, and you're
Yeah.
doing stuff, so you feel like you're accomplishing anything, but you're really not going anywhere because you're spending time with people that don't appreciate the value
Yeah.
of your product or service.
It's clear that, yeah, a lot of people are working 60 hours a week, and 80% of that's working on the wrong things. They'd be a lot better off working 40 hours a week with half of it being on the wrong things and half of it being on the right things. So, you know, just thinking through what are the income-producing activities, what are the things that you have to do to achieve your goals, and then do them. Now, one of the things that I found, and this is one of the things that drives the small business, is people don't want to do the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people, you know, are really comfortable sitting in their office, sitting behind the computer, chasing squirrels,
Doing email.
doing email, and when you talk to them, the number one problem that they have is they don't have enough prospects.
Right.
Well, you know, how many different ways can you get prospects? There's a great book called Get Clients Now, and that's all it talks about, is ways to get prospects. And you know, every time, you know, I talk to this particular individual about, you need to do more public speaking, you wouldn't believe the number of different excuses you can come up with for not going out and doing public speaking. And then another person, Marie Snyder, who has a business on coaching people in communications, set a goal of, I'm going to have 10 speaking engagements in the next 90 days. And 4 weeks out of that 90 days, she was in Ohio taking care of her mother.
No?
And so she started thinking about, well, I'm going to be in Ohio. And then she realized that there were people in Ohio. And she got involved in Toastmasters, went to 2 different Toastmasters groups in Ohio, and in that 90-day period, achieved her goal of doing 10 speaking engagements. And her business has continued to grow just by, you know, setting the goals, the income-producing activities. So one person is very comfortable sitting, you know, what I you know, refer to as you know, watching the squirrels in the parking lot, and the other one was out doing the work that was required to achieve her goals. And you know, it's frustrating sometimes for both for me and for my clients to say, you need to do this, and they say, well, but I don't like to do so and so. You know, I'm really more comfortable doing this. Well, you know, are you comfortable doing that and being broke? It's kind of like Dave Ramsey, you know. Yeah, you know, you're comfortable doing that, but you're also broke, or you're not making the kind of money you need to make. So sometimes you need to step up and put up.
Get out of your comfort zone, and
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, like a lot of things. My experience, you know, I do some public speaking, and there was, you know, I think they say it's one of the #1 fears that people have in the world, and I didn't want to do it initially, but it's like anything else. It's a muscle. And
Yeah,
the more you do it, you practice, you get better at it, and it can be kind of fun.
Yeah, people say that most people would rather be in the box than delivering the eulogy.
Okay, right?
So, yeah, that's a way. But yeah, when people say you got to get out of your comfort zone, I used to preach that, and then I decided that's not really what you have to do. What you really have to do is expand your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways, if you're afraid of speaking, but when I was in high school, I was very shy. The church choir would give me a one-line solo and I couldn't do it. So when I got to college, I joined a debating society, I joined the Glee Club, and after 4 years, you couldn't shut me up. And I've continued to this day. I mean, one of the best organizations, it's an international organization, is Toastmasters.
Yes.
And you know, if you think about some of the, you know, the real luminaries in the local market, you know, people like Sharon Hill, Marie Snyder, Randy Bernstein, you know, they're all active in Toastmasters. I don't know how many Toastmasters chapters there are around here, but I think you can go to a...
Must be 10 or 12.
Yeah, you can go to a Toastmasters meeting first thing in the morning, at lunchtime, in the evening, on a Saturday. So, you know, that's just, you know, one thing that I recommend to anybody who says, yeah, I don't like to get in front of people. Well, get used to getting in front of people, and you know, that becomes your comfort zone.
And I think that's, in today's world, I try to, with my kids, you know, I think when we were in school, you know, we did some presenting, but I think today the emphasis much more so is, you know, doing projects and presenting and getting up in front of the class, and whether you're, you know, an entrepreneur or you're in a corporate world, you know, you're going to have to, you're getting paid for your ideas, and you have to be able to present and sell your ideas.
Yeah.
If you're to rise in your career, and being comfortable doing that is, I think, essential.
Well, yeah, going back to the book Get Clients Now by C.J. Hayden, she has a great diagram, and it has the 6 major communication techniques, and they're sorted by effectiveness in getting your message across. And the #1 technique for getting your message across, and therefore getting new clients, is public speaking. And emails is I think 4th on the list.
Okay.
Social media is not on the list.
Okay.
Social media is just viewed as a tool to accomplish the other 6.
And or to promote your public speaking.
Promote your public speaking engagements, exactly. And so, you know, one of the things that people think is, what's your...
Or your radio show.
Absolutely, got to remember the radio show. But yeah, it's interesting. You know, people think, yeah, I'm going to have a social media strategy, or a lot of people that are out now advertising themselves as marketing consultants, but then you start talking to them and they're not marketing consultants, they're social media coaches. But when you ask them about the target audience and the message and things like that, you know, their eyes glaze over, because you know, whatever it is, you're gonna do it on Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest, and those are all valuable tools. But I remember an expression from probably 25 years ago, when a new technology came out, and somebody asked one of the top consultants what he thought of the new technology, and his response was, "A fool with a tool is still a fool." So don't get enamored with the tools.
You know, when you know, business, you know, it's still, you know, a lot of people can develop, you know, very successful electronic e-commerce businesses, and the 4-minute manager, and, you know, taking yourself out of the equation. But in most cases, you know, most small business, it's about people, it's about relationships, it's the classic, you know, like, and trust.
Yep.
And how you going to communicate your likability, your trustworthiness, and your, you know, your perceived expertise at your endeavor. And, you have to be out there.
One of the techniques for the know, like, and trust is public speaking by using techniques like video. And you do a video, and yeah, if you put a video on your Facebook page, it gets higher response, and people have better feeling about you after watching that video than just about anything else that you can do. So, you know, using video as a communication medium, and linking that's a tool to support public speaking. You put those two together, and you can be really effective.
Much like the smallbusinessinsights.com, where we do videos with local business owners.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the Small Business Success Project, is it just you, or is, you mentioned Leslie and Marie, are they also part
Well,
of the team?
it's a cast of thousands.
Okay.
Well, maybe 10. And everybody has their own business, and some of them you know, work with us on events. Like Leslie has been a a speaker at a couple of our events, and she's just great because her style is kind of like take no prisoners. And if you say you're going to do something, she kind of expects you to do it, and will hold your feet to the fire when you're not doing it. You know, another person that was keynote speaker at our last event, Sharon Hill. And Sharon has, I say people have their own business. Sharon's got, I think, 7 ventures going, but she's gracious enough
She's a dynamo then.
Gracious enough to spend her time talking about leadership to our people. Diana Needham is my go-to expert on how to be recognized as an authority in your marketplace. And she helped us take our book, 17 Legal Ways to Double Your Income, and helped us take that to a bestseller on Amazon last year. Marie Snyder works with us all the time. Not only is she great at helping people develop their message and deliver it, but she's also an event planner and organizer. So when we need to put an event together at one of the local venues, like the last event we did was at the Sienna and the Carolina Club.
Yeah.
And you know, she did all the organizing for that and all the detail. And for me, I'm the big picture guy, so all I had to do was show up and turn on the lights. So you know, we have a handful of people that
Takes a team
that participate, but it's, you know, it's not like we all work as employees of an organization. We're all independent.
As we get close to wrapping up the first segment of Money and More, the Small Business Insights edition, Earl, why don't you tell people how can they get in touch with you, and how can they contact you and or the Small Business Success Project?
Okay. Well, the easiest way to get in touch with me is email, earl@earlhaddon.com. And the website is currently being rebuilt, but you can go out and look at the things we talked about for our last event at www.smallbizsuccessproject.com. And we're right now working on adding some new things to it. One of the things we're working on is talking about systems. And that's going to be the theme of our next event. So, you know, kind of keep your eye on the Facebook and LinkedIn pages as well as our website to find out about how you can double your income.
Excellent. Well, Earl, thanks very much for being part of the first segment here of the Small Business Insights edition of the Money and More. We're going to take a short break, and I'll be right back.